The blue glow of emergency backup lights illuminated my phone screen as I read the incoming text message. I kept my face perfectly calm, despite the words, "Entire network down. Complete system failure." 3 days after they had escorted me from the building, the digital fortress I had spent 18 years constructing was crumbling, and only I knew why. My name is Victor Morgan. I'm 43 years old, and until 72 hours ago, I was the chief security officer at one of the nation's leading financial data companies. I closed my phone and turned back to my family dinner. My wife, Sarah, raised an eyebrow. "Everything okay?" she asked. I nodded slightly, allowing myself the smallest hint of a smile. Everything's exactly as it should be. 3 days earlier, I sat across from Lawrence Bennett, the new CEO who had arrived 6 weeks ago with his expensive suits and Harvard MBA. At 36, Bennett was part of the digital transformation generation of executives who believed anything older than last year's technology was obsolete, including the people who built it. "We're implementing a complete security overhaul," Bennett explained, without making eye contact, sliding the termination papers across the polished conference table. "Your systems are, well, legacy at this point. We need cutting-edge solutions." "Legacy systems," I repeated, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. Those legacy systems had protected the company from 3 major ransomware attacks that had crippled our competitors. "You'll receive 6 months severance," Vanessa from HR said quietly. I nodded, scanning the documents with the calm precision that had made me exceptional at my job. "I understand." I signed without argument. What Bennett didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had anticipated this moment for months. The subtle signs were there. Closed-door meetings I wasn't invited to, young consultants asking basic questions about system architecture, access permissions quietly changing. When I joined in 2005, we operated out of a converted warehouse with unreliable air conditioning. I built their security infrastructure from the ground up, starting with basic firewalls and eventually creating a proprietary system that became the backbone of their entire operation. Through 3 CEOs, 2 acquisitions, and countless technology cycles, I remained the constant guardian. When competitors were breached, my systems held firm. The board called me the vault behind my back. Impenetrable, reliable, perhaps unexciting, but absolutely essential. I met Sarah during those early years. Our first date coincided with a level 1 security threat. I spent half the evening on my laptop while she patiently sipped wine. "You're married to your job," she teased. She wasn't wrong. "The company needs me," I would explain during missed anniversaries. I believed it was true. Until suddenly, they decided it wasn't. The first sign of trouble for Bennett came exactly 36 hours after my departure. A minor authentication error locked several executives out of the system. The young IT team Bennett had assembled assured him it was a routine glitch. By hour 48, email servers began failing intermittently. Client communications were delayed, then lost entirely. The new security consultants worked through the night, growing increasingly confused by the architecture they were encountering. "It's like a maze," one consultant had complained. "Systems within systems, contingencies we can't trace." What they were discovering, but couldn't fully comprehend, was that I had built security like Russian nesting dolls. Layers within layers, each with its own autonomy and fail-safes. Not because I was paranoid, but because 18 years in cybersecurity had taught me that threats evolved, and static defenses eventually failed. That evening, my phone vibrated continuously with increasingly desperate messages. 8:47 p.m. "Victor, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please call me back." 9:16 p.m. "Victor, we need your assistance urgently. The main servers are down." 10:03 p.m. "We're prepared to offer a consulting fee of $500 per hour for your immediate assistance." 10:58 p.m. "Please call me. Systems failing company-wide. We'll double the rate." I read each message calmly while helping my daughter with her science project. Sarah looked over at me. "Aren't you going to answer that?" Not yet, I replied, carefully gluing a small planet to my daughter's solar system model. Some lessons take time to learn. What Bennett and his team hadn't yet discovered was that there was no hack, no malicious code, no sabotage. I'm too professional, too ethical for that. What was happening was much simpler. The security system was working exactly as designed. When I first architected the system, I built it around a central principle: protection against all threats, including internal ones. The system was designed to recognize patterns, not just external attacks, but internal behaviors that indicated potential compromise. When Bennett's team began dismantling sections of the security architecture without understanding their purpose, they triggered precisely the scenario I had designed for: a potential internal compromise. The system was protecting itself from them. Each fix they attempted only triggered additional security protocols. Each override they forced activated deeper contingencies. It wasn't malfunction. It was functioning perfectly. By 2 a.m., Bennett had assembled an emergency board meeting. The company was effectively offline. Client servers were inaccessible. Financial data was locked behind encryption that kept resetting every time they attempted to bypass it. "How could this happen?" demanded Eleanor Richards, the board chairwoman. "The system architecture is unconventional. Morgan built something that apparently only he fully understands." "The man you just fired," Richards clarified, her voice sharp. "The man who protected our data for nearly 2 decades while our competitors were breached repeatedly. That man—" "We need to bring him back in," Bennett admitted, "whatever it takes." "And if he refuses?" asked another board member. The question hung in silence. No one had considered that I, the quiet, reliable guardian they had discarded, might simply decline. The next morning, Sarah watched me from across the kitchen. "They're desperate," she said. "Are you going to help them?" I considered the question while pouring coffee. "Yes," I said finally, "but not until they understand exactly what they've done." My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. "Board meeting in progress. Systems failure costing $3 million per hour. Bennett looks terrified." At 10 a.m., Eleanor Richards herself called. "Mr. Morgan," she began, "I believe we have a situation that requires your unique expertise." "I'm listening," I replied. "Our systems are experiencing catastrophic failures. The board has authorized me to offer you a consulting position at whatever rate you deem appropriate." "Ms. Richards, what's happening isn't a system failure. It's a system functioning as designed. Your new security team is being identified as a potential internal threat." "I don't understand," she said. "When someone begins dismantling security protocols without proper authentication sequences, the system interprets it as a breach attempt. Each override they force triggers deeper protection measures. It's not breaking. It's defending itself." "Can you fix it?" "Yes," I said, "but I won't be coming in as a consultant to clean up Mr. Bennett's mess." "What are your terms, Mr. Morgan?" "I'll return as Chief Security Officer, reporting directly to the board, not to Bennett. My salary will double, and I'll need full autonomy to rebuild my team. Future structural changes to the security systems will require board-level approval, not just the CEO's." "That's substantial." "So is $3 million per hour in losses," I replied calmly. "The board will need to discuss this." "Of course," I said, "but after 72 hours, it initiates a complete data quarantine that will take weeks to reverse, even with my help." I checked my watch. "You have approximately 9 hours remaining." 7 hours later, I drove back to the company headquarters. In the passenger seat was a simple flash drive containing the authentication codes that would identify me to the system. Bennett stood at the entrance, looking simultaneously angry and defeated. "The board just called an emergency session without me," he said as I approached. "I assume that's your doing?" I shook my head. "That was your doing, Mr. Bennett. I just built systems that protect what's valuable, something you might want to consider in your next position." I walked past Bennett toward the server room. Inside, the blue emergency lights cast their glow across the humming servers. I sat at the main terminal and inserted my flash drive. My fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced precision. Across the building, screens began to flicker back to life. Emails started flowing again. Client portals became accessible. The digital heart of the company resumed its steady beat. I leaned back in my chair and allowed myself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Not because I had orchestrated some elaborate revenge. I hadn't. The system had simply done what I designed it to do: protect what was valuable against all threats, even the ones wearing expensive suits and carrying Harvard MBAs. My phone buzzed with a text from Eleanor Richards. "Board meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Your new contract will be ready for signature. Welcome back, Mr. Morgan." Sometimes the best security system isn't just the one that kept threats out, but the one that recognized who truly belonged inside.